I'd like to bring up a representative from Physicians for Social Responsibility, Dr. Jan Kirsch.
Thank you. Will, thank you all for being here today. Can you all hear me, first of all?
Good.
I will speak more loudly now. Okay. All right. I'm here because I am a physician with Physicians for Social Responsibility and International Physicians for Prevention of Nuclear War, and just many organizations around the world, including the International Council of Nurses, the Federation of Public Health, the International Public Health Federation, and many, many more. Millions of healthcare professionals around the world believe and know what has been long studied, and that is the only prevention, the only prescription, meaningful response to nuclear war is prevention. There is no other prescription. To claim that anything else would work is not only a lie, it is diversionary. And that is why we must address the issue of one of the world's, perhaps the world's greatest public health issue. So I'm speaking, and I want to start, I've already spoke, that's loud. I want to start with what sounds like a prayer. Primum non nocere. People know what that means. We got Latin scholars. You've heard it. It means first do no harm. And by not planning to help fight a nuclear war, which is impossible, and by not being part and by demanding the banning of nuclear weapons, we in the medical, the nursing, all of the healthcare professions renounce nuclear weapons and support this ban. Let me very quickly, I'm a medical oncologist. I treat cancer and leukemia. Let's talk about what we don't want. Marilia already alluded to that. We don't want testing and development. We don't want especially use. And the new weapons are first use weapons. So we don't want any of those things, and we want to get rid of nuclear weapons. The more we have, the more likely there is to be an accident, the more likely there is to be a war. So that's the gist of why we're hoping for the final treaty to be signed or to be proposed, drafted on July 7th. Here's what happens. So as an oncologist, well, let's talk about the acute effects of nuclear war. You've all heard this before. I'm going to run through it very quickly, but I trained in New York, so I can speak very quickly. You know that if even a so-called limited nuclear war occurred, and that's like 13 small bombs. By the way, Hiroshima was a small bomb. 13 of those go off, then tens of millions of people die around the world. In fact, essentially more people than died in World War II would die in a matter of hours or weeks from the usual heat, blasts, radiation. Then there are the long-term effects, the ones that I am particularly interested in as an oncologist. No matter where the bomb hits, even if it doesn't hit our country, and as a nuclear power, there's a good chance it would, the radiation released is enough to do a couple of horrible things. Number one, cause cancer. You all know that. And there's proof, and there have been studies over and over again, that almost every kind of cancer, possibly save a certain kind, one kind of leukemia, can be caused by radiation, and it doesn't stay in the backyard of the people who get hit. It gets lofted into the stratosphere and dropped all over the world. And we're talking about the fission product, cesium, which seeks potassium, and we're talking about strontium, which seeks calcium. In other words, it seeks you. And that is what we have to prevent. It seeks out the world. Plutonium, when combusted, like in a nuclear detonation, will kill, even with microgram quantities. We're talking about 25 millionths of a gram is highly likely to cause lung cancer, even in children who are exposed to younger children, even in non-smokers. So it's got a half-life of 24,000 years. So like a diamond, it's forever, but unlike a diamond, it is no one's best friend. We cannot allow those kinds of things, those kinds of isotopes to be released around the world, and that's one thing nuclear weapons will do. They'll also cause a nuclear famine because of soot and other debris released. People will not be able to grow grains, and there'll be billions who would die in starvation within a few years. So those are the acute issues. Just having nuclear weapons. How many of you know of Eric Schlosser's book of 2014, Command and Control? and have seen the excellent video, I highly recommend it, about how we have so many times, we have nuked ourselves in terms of toxins, but we just barely avoided on a couple of occasions. I mean, it was just pure dumb luck that we didn't nuke ourselves, especially at the episode that he recounts very graphically and very well. So we have these nuclear weapons slipping from bombers. We have nuclear weapons that get sunk into the sea from submarines. We have nuclear weapons in silos that have exploded, though not quite detonated on us. We're nuking ourselves. The more bombs you have, the more likely they are to kill you. So the prognosis, and then one last thing, let's talk about the money. $1 trillion was already set aside over the next 30 years, $4 million an hour. Just imagine if we could use that for fighting environmental depredation. How many of you, and degradation, and for cleanup of sites, especially the Department of Energy bomb-making sites of the past, including Livermore, how many of you would like, I would, a single-payer system that's true for all people? Good. Well, yeah, and California may just get it, but we want it for everyone. And what portion of more than $1 trillion now, what could that do? How many of you are concerned about climate disruption? The other major threat existential threat to human life. So let's spend the money on those things instead of weapons that can't be used until the last day of civilization. So on my upbeat note, I say that I applaud what the UN is doing. I applaud that you came out today. We can heal ourselves with prevention. So I will say to the UN, I toast you to life. Thank you.